wore the yellow and blue bracelet, and I got such a positive response, including from you, that I've just continued wearing it every day, because for me, it does remind me of why I'm here, not only to represent the United States, but also to strengthen the bonds between the United States and Ukraine. And today, we want to talk about the investment in commercial bonds. And so, once again, Governor, I want to thank you for inviting me here to the Kharkiv International Economic Forum. It's an honor to be here again. I think many of you know that in the United States, we have a very decentralized approach to just about everything. And cities and states are very active in promoting their own economic development to try to grow and attract companies. And I really see that same spirit here in Ukraine, especially in Kharkiv. And I think this forum is one of the examples of that. And one of the great resources that Kharkiv has, and this is relatively rare, not just in Ukraine, but all over the world, including in my own country, that Kharkiv is a nucleus for research centers, universities. We were talking about this just yesterday. And I think it's really important, and I think it provides a magnet for companies as well, because there's a lot of talent. Yesterday, I visited the Kharkiv Institute of Physics and Technology, which partnered with our Department of Energy to design, build, and equip an advanced research laboratory, the Neutron Source Facility. Now, I can't exactly explain what it does, but basically it's about nuclear medicine. And what the hope is that once it is commissioned, hopefully in December, the hope is that this will create a venue, a research lab, for cutting-edge nuclear medicine that will provide new, with the research that comes out of that, which will provide new and more advanced ways of fighting diseases. And so that would be a good thing, groundbreaking new cures and treatments. It would also be a place where the next generation of physicists could be trained. And incidentally, of course, also add jobs to the economy here in Kharkiv. So we really see this as a very positive thing and are looking forward to the opening. I also had a chance yesterday to meet with the students at Karazin University, and I saw firsthand that Kharkiv has top quality professors, researchers, and students. They are doing lots of innovative things to ensure that they get the most out of that concentration of talent. So from our point of view, it's clear with that kind of knowledge base that Kharkiv has tremendous potential in areas such as information technology. And that's one of the main reasons that Kharkiv is such an attractive place for foreign investment and is home to one of Ukraine's most successful IT clusters. So as I mentioned, this is the second Kharkiv forum that I've attended, and a lot has happened on the economic side since then. At the national level, including with the guidance of Boris Loshkin, the association agreement with the EU has come into full force. This is so important for Ukraine, for Kharkiv's economic future. Huge accomplishment. And of course, it only sets a stage for many more things that need to be done, but it really is something that Ukraine deserves a lot of credit for. And I think all of you sitting in the audience will be able to make use of the added potential that is there. Another accomplishment is that macroeconomic stabilization has continued. Ukraine received another IMF disbursement since I was here last, and also a $1 billion loan guarantee from the United States. The government nationalized Privat Bank. That was very difficult, but it was a necessary step to ensure financial stability, excuse me. It also introduced the new electronic VAT refund program, and a number of other accomplishments as well. And for the first time since 2012, last year the economy in Ukraine grew. And I think that's an important accomplishment as well, reversing a negative trend. Nevertheless, I think we would all agree that economic growth needs to continue. We need to up that number. Because many Ukrainians in cities like Kharkiv, but throughout Ukraine, are still not feeling it in their wallets. Which is why the topics we're discussing at this forum are so important. Economic growth is necessary to grow businesses that will create more jobs and lead to higher wages and in Kharkiv and throughout Ukraine, but also increase the tax base so the government has the resources to provide for transparent, efficient, effective services. The key to doing this, at least in the short run, is foreign investment. Ukraine is fortunate because it has so much to offer investors: an educated workforce, extremely productive land, natural resources and added value industries, and access to its neighbor, the EU, the world's largest single market. But when we talk to businesses, both American and domestic, they tell us they still face too many challenges from vested interests that make investing difficult. Ukraine needs to establish the business climate necessary to attract that new investment, again, both foreign and domestic, that can build growth. So we are fully supportive of Ukraine's next steps in implementing rule of law reforms, including setting up a dedicated anti-corruption court and selecting qualified ethical Supreme Court judges. And last week, I believe it was, Boris Loshkin moderated what I think was a very important conversation between President Poroshenko, Prime Minister Groisman, leading business leaders, and the government signaled that it would no longer tolerate the harassment of businesses by law enforcement and security forces. This was a really important step, and we really thank you for moderating that conversation and getting that discussion off the ground. And we're looking forward to seeing it being implemented in practice. It's not only a story at the national level, local and regional governments can also demonstrate to investors that their processes are transparent and honest. And I think one of the important ways that cities and oblasts around Ukraine are doing that is by establishing administrative service centers. We were really proud to partner with Kharkiv on establishing one of these, and it was opened on September 1st, where Ukrainian citizens living here can get services from the central government at the oblast level and at the city level in an open environment, hopefully with no corruption, and effective and very efficient, very fast. We believe that if Ukraine sticks to its reform path and improves the business environment, that it will attract much higher levels of investment. So I also wanted to note that there have been a lot of changes in the United States as well since I was here last. Some of you may know we have a new president, and as the new administration has developed its policies, I think it's become very clear the extent to which we support Ukraine, both in the fight in the East, but also in its important reform efforts. So over the last 3 months, we've had Secretary of State Tillerson, my boss, here. We've had Secretary of Defense Mattis here on Ukrainian Independence Day, standing with President Poroshenko, other dignitaries, ambassadors, watching the review of the troops. And among those troops were 30 American soldiers as well. And we also had, interesting for this audience, the president of the Overseas Private Investment Corporation, Ray Washburn, here to see what the possibilities are and whether we can expand OPIC's involvement here. So for me, that was also very, very important. I would also add that Ambassador Kurt Volker, who many of you know, has recently been appointed as the U.S. Special Representative for Ukraine negotiations, is another signal of our commitment to standing with Ukraine. He was appointed at the beginning of July. He's been here 4 times since then and is actively looking to see how we can help Ukraine and the Normandy 4 resolve the conflict in the East. And as many of you know, yesterday President Trump met with President Poroshenko in New York on the margins of UNGA, and their warm meeting, I think, really showed our continued close cooperation at the highest levels. On the economic side, we also continue to see growing interest, and I think this featured in the conversation between the presidents. Last week, I was down in Odessa for to witness the first delivery of U.S. coal by X-Coal Energy, and I think that's one example of the huge potential in the energy sector across the board. Minister Semerak's announcement last week that the government plans to allow free and open access to geological data is an important piece of news for potential energy investors. And we're looking forward to seeing that, that happen. And we're also looking forward to seeing open and transparent tenders for gas and oil licenses here. I know, I can see some of you nodding. There's a lot of interest among US companies in that sector, and so we look forward to that, as well as an independent NAFTA gas board that operates free of political influence so that reform and unbundling can proceed. Hugely important for the future of Ukraine. The agricultural sector, I would add, is another good example of how reform will attract investment and the huge potential that is here. We believe that creating a fair and transparent market for agricultural land with strong protection for the rights of small property holders will help unlock Ukraine's potential as well as foreign investment. There is no advanced economy in the world that does not allow the free sale and acquisition of land. And I think we're all interested in seeing Ukraine advance, or else we wouldn't be in this room. So I don't think that in this respect, Ukraine is somehow an exception. So it's important that Ukraine move forward with implementing this change. Just as it must get a handle on the privatization process, I'm sure there are a number of representatives here who would be eager to participate in tenders for some of the state-owned enterprises. And so we are looking forward to the government and the RADA working together this session to draft and pass the new law on privatization. I think with investments in areas such as infrastructure, logistics, and certification, there's frankly no limit to Ukraine's potential. And we look forward to seeing that growth, at the small and medium enterprises, but also the large enterprises as well. That's a very rosy picture, and many of you know that I am bullish on Ukraine's long-term future, on Kharkiv's future. But I would add again that reforms need to continue to be implemented in order to meet the expectations of the Ukrainian people as well as foreign partners and foreign investments. So I am looking forward to coming back next year and sharing with all of you all of the accomplishments that have happened over this next year and seeing what all of us together have been able to do and how we will continue to partner with Ukraine and Kharkiv. Thanks.